Here is my browser, and this is the preview. This is a button which we use to activate the login form, and you can see I added some hover effect to it using CSS, and when I click on this, it's going to display the login form. You can see how loving this is, and there is an hovering effect on it, even the send button, and we have the sign up. But for now, the sign up and the forgot password is not linked to anywhere because we didn't create another sign up button or another interface for it. You can see the username. Once you click on any username and click on the password, it works very well. And if you click on the remember me, it unchecks and checks the checkbox. So without much ado, let's get into this. So right here I have my VS Code, and inside it I have the index of HTML file, which is empty, just the basic tag, and I have the body tag, which is empty as well. I have the CSS file and the JS file. But first, let's go ahead and put some text inside our HTML body tag. So first, I'm going to create the button. I'm going to open this. This is the button we are going to create first. So, and there's the page. So first, I'm going to, let me shrink this. Okay, I'm going to create a button. So I will use the button tag, idle login button. Okay, and pass in the text login. So next, we'll save and refresh this. You're going to see the login button here. So next, I'm going to go down and create a div, which will be the container for the form. Underneath the div, I'm going to create a h2 tag. Sorry. Pass in the text, fill in. Your details. And inside I'll also add a close button. A close button. So I will use the ID close and also use an entity for this, and times. Okay, this is going to bring the times icon, just like on the previous one. You can see the icon over here. So having done that, we're going to go down, and remember there's a line here which is demarcating this one and this one. So I'm going to go down below and create that using the HR tag. Okay, so underneath the HR tag, I'm going to create another form and this action, because since you're not sending it to anywhere, I'm going to use the hash there and close this up. So inside, I'm going to create two inputs, one for the test, which will take in the username or email address, and the second is going to be the password. So I'm going to use the input tag here, test, and give this a placeholder. Oh, no. Give this a placeholder of username or email. Okay, with an ID. Okay, no ID. And I'm going to put some space and create another input with a type of password and a placeholder of password as well. Close this up. So below it, we are going to create a label for the checkbox. So I'll say label for checkbox. And it's going to be remember me. Okay. Above this label, I'm going to put the checkbox there using the inputs tag. Say checkbox with an ID check box. Okay. So next, I'm going to create a link for the forgot password using the A attribute, and I'll reference it with the hash since we're not sending it anywhere. So this will take in the ID of A, and next I'm going to put the value, which will forget password. Okay, then next is the button for the send button. So I use send ID send button, close this up and put in the value send. And having done this, you can see the link for the forgot password, the link for the send, the input and the password, the checkbox. So the last thing I need to do is to add a paragraph underneath this. So if you are not yet a member, click on this to sign up. So I will use the P tag and say not a member yet. And I will pass a and reference this as hash since you are not sending it anywhere, and I will put in the word sign up. Okay guys, this is basically all we need for our HTML. You can see the structure of how the form is going to, the content that the form is going to display. So next I'm going to go to the index.css, but first, before I go there, I need to link the CSS file. Okay. Okay, that's it for the CSS. So I'll go to the CSS file and let me add some styling to this button over here. Selecting it with the ID, I'll say login form, because we can remember that's the ID I gave it from our HTML here, login form. So I'm going to copy that and paste it over here. Okay, and I will remove the border for it and give this a background of blue, a padding of 10 pixels for up and down, then the left and right to be 15 pixels. And next I will give the text color to be white, and the border radius of 5 pixels, so to make the border, the corners to be a little bit round, you can see. So next is the font weight, which we take in the bold. We're going to make this bold. And next I'm going to add a transition to it, because we are going to hover on it. So I'll use the transition, which will be 1 second. Okay, for now there's no hover effect, so we'll go down here and make that hover effect. I'm going to paste, remember the text I copied, and I'm going to, once a user hover on this, okay, I'm going to add a hover studio class, okay, and give this a background of RGB RGB 332. Okay, you can see if I hover on it, it's going to make the background color a little bit dark. So for next, I want to put that rotate effect. So I will go down here and say transform rotate minus 30 degree. So you see if I hover on it, it's going to rotate it minus 30 degrees. So that's all for the login button. So next I'm going to style the container for this particular content. So I'm going to select the div tag name from the HTML, and I'm going to give this a maximum width of 300 pixels. Okay, and this the left side will be 30%, because I want to make it to be positioned to the center a little bit. Okay, and the top will be 10%. Okay, why is it not styling? It's not styling. div. Okay, div maximum with 300 pixels left, 30% top. Okay, then I'll give this a position. Let's just go ahead and see. Position of a fixed position. You can see it, I've taken the left and the top, which is 30%. So I'm going to give this a background color of gray, and next I'm going to give it a hidden overflow, because I don't want that scrolling effect inside of it. So next is to make the corners a little bit round by adding a border radius of 5 pixels. And next I will add an animation to this, which will be 1 second, and I will give it a name, which will be transform. Okay, the next z-index, this is used to place the text above the content. So I'm going to give this z-index 1, which will enable you to stay on top any content, or like if we want to add a body or whatsoever, this particular form is going to stay on top every content. So next I'm going to but before I do that, because I wanted to hide the display, but before I do that, let me finish with the styling first. So next is to style this H arrow, that line inside of it. So I'm going to give it curly braces. I'm going to give this a color of RGB 332. Okay, no, 3322 or 32. Okay, and next is to style this close button here. You can remember, if you remember, I gave it an ID of close over here. So I'm going to select that, and we're going to float this to right. And next I will give this a padding, up and down 0, left and right 5 pixels. So next is the color, which will be white. And next I'm going to give this a cursor of pointer. That's it. You can see if we hover on it, the cursor is going to change to a pointer. So next, underneath it, I'm going to style this H2, this text here. So I'm going to select it and align the text to the center. And capitalize the text using the text transform. Capitalize. And next, I'm going to increase the size to 30 pixels. Okay, that's all for the H2. Oh, sorry, it's not H arrow. Sorry, because I was wondering why it's not aligning. It's not aligned to the center. Instead of using this H2, I was supposed to use H2, not H arrow. So you can see now the H2 tag is tied. So next is to select the form, and I'm going to give this a background color of black to display to block. Okay, and next is the padding. Up and down will be 5 pixels, the left and right will be 3 pixels. I'm going to scroll down a little. Okay, and next is a width of 100% to make this responsive. And box sizing, border box, because I don't want the content inside of it to go outside the box. So having done that, I'm going to go down and give this input some styling. So next, I'm going to select the input. First is the text, and next the password. Okay, I'm going to style both of them by giving them a width of 100% to make it responsive, and a height of 30 pixels. Yeah, 30 pixels will be okay. And next, a margin button, because I want a space between them. So I'm going to use the margin button, and I will give those 10%. So next is a box sizing. I don't want it to go outside the box as well. Border box. You can see now they are all aligned to the center inside the box. So I'm going to remove the border as well. Border none. Padding 4 pixels, and a margin top of 3%. Next, a background color of gray. Gray, not gray. Okay, you can see this looking kind of the same with this one, except that I haven't styled the remember button and the P, including the send button. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So underneath the input, I'm going to give a styling to this border, this label here, so that it can be seen. So I'm going to select the label and give it a color of blue. It's going to change the color. As you can see, the color has been changed to blue. So next, give it a font size. A font size of let's say 10 pixels. Wouldn't that be enough? 10 pixels is small. Okay, let's say 20 pixels. I guess 20 pixels is okay. 20 pixels will go with that. And I'm going to add a transition to it so that when we hover on it, it's going to have some cool transition effect. So I will use the transition 1 second. And then next is to style this forgot password link by selecting it using the A ID which I gave it. So I'll say A and float it to the right of the page. I'm going to remove the text decoration because I don't want that line to be there. So give it a none. Color will be blue, the same thing with the label, and a margin left will be 2 pixels, and the font size 20 pixels as well. The same thing with the label. I'm going to scroll down a little, and I'll also add a transition on this, which will be 1 second also. So next I will go here and add that hovering effect over the label and this particular ID. So I will say label with the hover pseudo class and select the ID A, also add hover to it. So what do we want to do when the user hover on it? We want to change the color to RGB 1263. So next, you can see if I hover on this, the color is going to fade to be a little bit dark. So next is I'm going to select the send button with the ID send BTN, which is short for button. Also give this a width of 100%. Margin left 100%. Margin top 5%. Sorry, a margin left of 10%, not 100%. Margin top 5%. And next I'm going to change the background to blue. Also remove the border. Give this a padding of 2%. Okay. And I want to change the inner color to be white. And also make it bold. And next increase the font size to 15 pixels. I'm going to scroll down a little. So next, to give this a border radius of 5 pixels. But don't worry, this is not aligned to the center for now. So I'll give this a border radius of 5 pixels and a transition, because I'm going to add hover to it. You're going to hover on it, so it will be 1%. Okay, in order to make this send button to be aligned to the center, I'm going to reduce the width from 100 to 80%. So this is going to align it to the center. You can see here and here are equal. So next I'm going to add the hover effect to it by selecting the send is btn id and add hover to this. So I will going to change the background to RGB 7732 and transform skew S, okay, to minus 40 degree. Sorry if I didn't pronounce this very well. You can always correct me. Okay, 40 degrees. So you can see if I hover my mouse, my cursor on it is going to skew it. So you see how it's behaving, but the color is not changing. Why is that? Okay, I put RGB instead of RGB, so I'm going to add the B there. Okay, and hover, you can see the color is fading when I hover on it. So finally we are going to style this P tag which is here, and including the link. So what I'm going to do is to select the P by its tag name, and I will give this a margin of 10 pixels. Okay, and next align the text to the center because you don't want it to be close to the border. So I will give it a text align of center, and the background color, no background. Okay, that's all. Okay, I will leave the color the way it is because I want it to be the same as this one. So I'm going to leave the color the way it is. So scroll down a little, and then next I'm going to select this link inside the P tag, because if you remember in our if we go back to our HTML file, you can see the link is inside the P tag. So what I'm going to do is first select the P and A. I can go directly and select A, but I want it to be easy for us to understand. So I'm going to select the A and give that a styling. So I'll change the color to blue and remove the line that is underneath it. Text decoration, none. And next also add a transition to this. 1 second. Don't ask me why I always use 1 second. I just like it. Most people use 0.1, you know, it depends on what works very well for you. So next I'm going to hover on the A link, so I want the color to change. So I will say hover color RGB 1263. Okay, you can see if I hover on it, the color is going to fade a little. So finally is to add a keyframe to this, the animation which I added here, because I haven't called it anywhere. There's an animation I added somewhere. Okay, here you can see the animation 1 second transform. So I'm going to go down here and put the animation effect. So I'll use the keyframes and select it by the name transform. Okay, so what do I want to do? At 0%, I want you to transform this, translate it to 50 pixels. So right now you can see the login button is working and our form is ready, but now you can see the close button is not functioning the login button is not also functioning. So what are we going to do? We are going to add the functionality using JavaScript. But first, I want to hide this particular div. So what I'm going to do is to add a display none to this, like so. You can see it has been hidden. So finally, we are going to go to the JS file and add the functionality to those buttons. So first thing first, I'm going to create a constant with the name login button to select this particular one, login button, and I'm going to use the query selector to select its ID. Query selector by the ID, if you remember, is login button. So next is to select the close button. So I will say constant close. Still using the query selector, I'm going to select it using its ID as well, which was close. And finally is to select div, which I just put the display to none. So I will say div, or I can change this to container. Okay. Container document.query selector div. Okay, so what am I going to do now is I'm going to add an event listener to this button. So when a user clicks on this button, display the container. So what I'm going to do is to select login button, and I'm going to add an event listener to this, which will be click on this. And I'm going to run an arrow function on this. Okay. So once the user clicks on it, we want to change the container style is display to block. So once the user clicks on it, show the display. So this will be block. So right now you can see if I click on this button, okay, it's not functioning. Refresh. Why is that? Let's see. Let's open our console to see where the problem is coming from. Okay, let's see. Click. It's not showing any error message. Okay, sorry, we haven't linked the JS file in our HTML. Now I remember. So I'm going to go down here and create a script tag, and I'm going to reference the index.js on it. Okay, so this will do the job. If I refresh it and click on this, it's going to, you can see the form has been displayed. So I'm going to close this console, back to the JS file, click on this. Let me refresh it and click. You can see, but now, right now the close button is not functioning. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back and select the close button, which is constant close. I'm going to add an event listener to it. So say add event listener a click event, and I'm also going to run an arrow function. Okay, so once the user clicks on that close button, what do we want to do? We want the container to be hidden. So we say container accesses style the display and set it to none, like so. So you can see if we click on this login button and click on this particular close button, is going to hide the container. See, it's looking good, it's looking lovely. So there's one more thing I want you guys to do, is go on and add a new button here, which will be a sign up button, and then create a new sign up form. Add some event listener to it so that when the user clicks on it, it's going to take them to the sign up form. When you click on the login form, it's going to take you to this login form. Well, thank you guys. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. I so much appreciate your time. See you in the next video, and do have a nice day.